This is the sad story of the PlayStation Classic, a console that could have much potential only if Sony pulled their heads off their butts and tried to put actual care and a bit of passion into this project. The PlayStation Classic could be an amazing nostalgic retro console, but hey, everyone knew what happened. Sony delivered us the PlayStation Classic with some questionable design choices. Today I am going to show you the problems the PlayStation Classic had, what is the small brick capable of in the right hands thanks to the awesome modding community, but I'm also going to share with you some of my thoughts how Sony could make the PlayStation Classic into a console that every retro gamer wanted. Now, I'm Snorky and I welcome you to the RBG show. Before we start, remember to smash that like button, and if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing. I post all sorts of videos, from reviews, tutorials to tips. Now, to not waste any more of your precious time, let's begin with a small history of the PlayStation Classic. Sony wanted without any doubt to jump on the train and follow many other game companies releasing their mini consoles. Now, mini consoles weren't something new in the market, they existed for some time. Actually, as an example would be Atari, console going back far as 2002, with the Atari plug-and-play, which could be considered as a mini console, let's say. Yeah, Atari is probably a console 1/3 of you never saw in your life, mostly because your LCD on your fridge is capable of running more demanding games than Atari 2600, and for you younger gamers, no, you don't use those two controllers as a Joy-Con, just to be clear. I'm joking, okay, don't get upset. But it's funny how Atari was huge and now it's just some department in some game company. Well, the tables have turned, I guess. But now let's mention a small company I like to talk about every so often, and that's Nintendo. In 2016 they released a great counterattack to Atari, with the NES Mini following the SNES Mini. Two great consoles that sold like crazy. Now, our neighborhood friendly corporate giant Sony wanted to do the same thing to earn some extra money from the retro community, so they released the PlayStation Classic. And everybody's pissed off. Well, considering how many gamers rage about the PlayStation Classic, it's now basically a forgotten relic of the past, even if it's like just few years old. But what are the problems? Why did the PlayStation Classic fail so hard? Many of you probably knew it already, but I wanna just to state the problems for the crowd who is unfamiliar with the problems. I will start with the hardware aspect and then move to the game library. For starts, the PlayStation Classic looks like it should. It's really neat and small, but the first problem you will immediately see is that you will get only two controllers, so everything fine, but without the analog sticks, which is complete nonsense. I know that's how the original PlayStation was released, but why not to give us immediately the definitive version of the PlayStation 1 and not the lackluster version, because many games benefit of the dual analogs control. Now, this wouldn't be a huge problem if the little brick has Bluetooth, so you can connect your PlayStation 4 controller. Nope. Now, the only good thing is that the controls are basically simple USB ports. What I will address later, why is that awesome. Now, let's talk about the software aspect. I love how they used the original menu as a theme of the PlayStation Classic UI. It really contributed to the vibe, as well as the addition of a quick save, but the biggest problem we had were the games. Now, the first problem, they mixed the US with the European releases. So you ask, why is that a problem? It's everything on English, so it's okay. Yeah, that's not the problem I'm talking. The problem lies that in the 90s the US versions of the game ran on a higher frame rate than the European releases, what left many fans wondering why to use the less superior version of the game. It was just a weird choice from Sony. But the biggest problem we have, that this is a mini game console with pre-installed games. The games played a huge role. Now, looking at the SNES library, because Nintendo owns a huge chunk of the most popular games, where Sony not so much, because of the third-party developers at the time. We got some great games, but overall they're looking a bit mediocre. We had some instant classics like Final Fantasy VII, Tekken 3, Metal Gear Solid and a few more, and those games are a real treat, they are just yummy. But games like Super Puzzle Fighter, Tom's Clay Rainbow Six, Mr. Driller were a really odd choice to include on a PlayStation Classic console. I'm not saying that Rainbow Six sucks, but it sucks. I would rather play Medal of Honor on the Classic. But yeah, I would say that the half of the games are real classics what deserve a place on the console, but the other half of the games looking like Sony just slapped onto the PlayStation Classics so Sony can say there were many games on it. Now, I understand the problem around licensing games, but I have also a solution for that. I will mention that later in the video, so stay tuned. Now, this section is dedicated to showing you what this little brick is really capable of, and this is the reason why I bought it, and maybe why should you buy it, as the prices of the PlayStation Classics are ridiculously low now. All you need is a simple 2.0 USB, and please don't be an idiot like I was and bought a 3.1 USB to try to mod the console, because it won't work, trust me. And now, with a few easy steps, you can turn this console into a retro paradise console with the portability aspect of your mobile phone. By the way, if you want a tutorial video about it, just comment down below and I will make an extra video where I show you how to mod the console. Now let's continue. Now this is a great thing if you're traveling a lot. All you need is a HDMI cable, one controller and your phone charger. And that's it, and you're ready to go. This thing is basically capable of doing everything like your standard RetroPie console. So when you mod your console, aside of putting a huge library of PlayStation 1 games onto it with the Project Ares mode, you get also a pre-installed RetroArch, and you know what that means. Hello to SNES, NES and many other console emulations. Now of course the legality of this is a bit questionable, like every game emulation, but the option is here for those who really want it, and that's important. I have installed plenty PlayStation 1 games on the system, with the addition of some Nintendo games that I like to have on the go, but I also want to address the things that the console should have from the get-go to be a perfect console to make the fanbase happy. Now this will be my suggestions of how I think Sony should manage their whole project. If you have some other ideas, please state them down below. Mainly there are only 4 things I want to change or improve, so to say. First, the PlayStation Classics needs a Wi-Fi connection, because without the internet connection the console is basically dead from the start, as it can't get any new updates and new features. Second thing is that the console needs a Bluetooth, so we can use our wireless controllers and not to sit 1 meter in the front of a 65-inch TV so your eyes burn as you count the polygons in the game. And now the third problem we had were the games. Now if the PlayStation Classic had an internet connection, theoretically speaking we could get online to a PlayStation Classic storefront, so to say, where we could buy the games that Sony didn't acquire because of the license issues. As an example, why wouldn't Namco sell Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 on the store if someone is interested? Or maybe Bandai to put out the Digimon World games. Just a small example. It would be a great thing so we can buy the games we wanted to play, like on the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 3. And don't get me started to include on the store an ability for the small developers to sell their low projects for the PlayStation 1. Even if the price console was $10 higher, I think nobody would care. I know I wouldn't. And let's go to the last point, and that's the options menu the console had. You see, the PlayStation Classics had a HDMI output, what is normal to this day and age, but it's light years away comparing it to the standard component cables. So the picture is crispier than ever now. And don't hate me for saying that, as I already got critics in my last videos, but they could include the smoothing options like on the PlayStation 3, a widescreen option maybe for those who really want it, and please don't start a war at the comment sections because you don't play those games in the 16:9 format. This is just an option for those gamers who maybe use it, okay? Just saying. Sadly, we didn't get those things I previously mentioned, and the PlayStation Classic isn't anything more in my eyes than just a quick cash grab from Sony. And the ones who get hurt are the loyal retro gamers, who expected to get an awesome, small and fun console to replace some of the classics they love and care about. I was hugely disappointed, but at the end of the day, the modding community did their job right and brought the console alive to some extent, with the ability to choose our own games we want on the PlayStation PlayStation Classic, so we can play the games we really wanted to see, as I would like to see you smash that like button for all those who were disappointed how the console turned out. And if you enjoyed the video, consider checking out my Patreon. The lowest tier begins at the price of a coffee. Everything from the Patreon will be used to this channel, so I can put out better videos and more frequently. But a like and a nice comment is also great. If you have any suggestions for the next video, comment down below. This is all for me now, and I will see you in the next one. Snorky over and out.